Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Battleverse. Tonight, we dive into one of the most daring and symbolic strikes in the Russia-Ukraine war, a moment that not only captured the attention of the world but also left a deep scar on the pride of the Kremlin. This is the story of Ukraine's bold strike on the Crimean Bridge, a feat of military planning and symbolic power that has set the entire conflict on a new trajectory. To understand the magnitude of what happened, we have to step back and look at the importance of this bridge, the risks Ukraine took, the way Russia reacted, and what it all means for the future of this war. Imagine a structure stretching nearly 19 kilometers across the Kerch Strait, connecting mainland Russia to the annexed peninsula of Crimea. To the outside eye, it was not just a bridge but a steel and concrete declaration that Crimea was part of Russia forever. Vladimir Putin himself inaugurated the bridge, driving a truck across it in a moment that was meant to show the world that Russia's claim was permanent and unshakable. For Moscow, it was a lifeline. For Ukraine, it was a target they long dreamed of striking, not only for its practical value but also for what it represented. For years, the bridge funneled military supplies, armored vehicles, fuel, ammunition, and troops directly into occupied territories. Every Russian offensive in southern Ukraine relied on it, and yet many in the world believed it to be untouchable. Russia boasted of heavy defenses, with air defense systems, patrol boats, and constant surveillance designed to prevent exactly the kind of strike that finally happened. But in war, nothing is ever truly safe. When the first explosions rocked the bridge, the night sky over Crimea turned into a theater of flames. Eyewitnesses spoke of fireballs, plumes of smoke, and the terrifying sound of collapsing steel. At first, confusion spread across Russian media. Some outlets rushed to downplay the damage, calling it a minor incident, perhaps an accident. But as images began to circulate, the truth became undeniable. Sections of the bridge had been torn apart, parts of it engulfed in fire, and Russia's mighty supply artery had been choked. Ukraine, though not officially announcing responsibility at first, celebrated in quiet triumph. On social media, memes and jokes spread like wildfire. The once invincible Crimean Bridge had been humbled. For ordinary Ukrainians, the strike was not just a military achievement. It was a cathartic release, proof that their resistance could touch even the deepest symbol of Russian power. But how did they do it? That question continues to stir debates among analysts and military experts. Some believe long-range missiles were used, possibly British Storm Shadow missiles or Ukrainian developed weapons. Others argue it may have been naval drones. Unmanned boats packed with explosives, maneuvered with deadly precision across the waters of the Kerch Strait. What we do know is that the strike required meticulous planning, intelligence gathering, and perfect timing. The bridge was under constant guard, so slipping through those defenses was no small feat. It was not just about technology, it was about daring. Ukraine showed that creativity and persistence could overcome even the strongest fortifications. For Russia, the blow was devastating. The bridge was more than just infrastructure. It was a symbol of permanence, an emblem of annexation, a project personally tied to Putin's legacy. Seeing it in flames was not only a tactical setback but a humiliation. It forced Moscow to divert resources to repairs, reshuffle supply routes, and double down on propaganda to mask the embarrassment. Russian state media scrambled to reassure citizens that the damage was temporary, that the bridge would soon be repaired, that supply lines were secure. But inside the Kremlin, the strike rang alarm bells. If Ukraine could hit the Crimean Bridge, what else could they hit? Military bases deep in Russian-controlled territory suddenly looked vulnerable. No place seemed truly safe. Beyond the immediate shock, the strike had far-reaching implications. For Ukrainian soldiers fighting in the trenches, it meant supplies to Russian forces would now be slowed, weakened, and disrupted. For civilians, it was a moment of pride, a boost to morale after months of hardship. For international observers, it demonstrated the effectiveness of the advanced weaponry that Ukraine had been receiving from its allies. Western nations saw their investments in Ukrainian defense paying off in real time. And for Russia, it was a reminder that holding Crimea would never be as secure as they once believed. The bridge, once hailed as an engineering marvel, now stood as a wounded giant, scarred and broken. Repair crews rushed in under heavy security, working day and night to patch the damage. But even as they did, every truck that crossed, every convoy that attempted to move supplies, carried with it the weight of uncertainty. Would there be another strike? Would Ukraine finish what it started? The shadow of fear now hung over the Kerch Strait, and that fear was as powerful a weapon as the explosions themselves. Psychologically, the strike rewired the perception of this war. Until then, many Russians believed that their grip on Crimea was unshakable, that the peninsula was untouchable. But Ukraine shattered that illusion in one night. It was a reminder that occupation does not mean safety, that every bridge, every road, every symbol of annexation could be targeted. The flames on the bridge were more than just burning steel. They were burning away the myth of invincibility. The price of such an operation, however, was not small. Ukraine had to commit rare and valuable resources, whether advanced missiles or cutting-edge naval drones. Each strike risked failure, risked escalation, risked retaliation. Yet Ukraine calculated that the potential rewards outweighed the risks, and history may prove them right. Because in warfare, moments of symbolism can shift the tide just as much as battlefield victories. The strike on the Crimean Bridge told the world, Ukraine is not afraid, Ukraine can reach deep into occupied territory, Ukraine can strike at the very heart of Russian power. In the days following the attack, Russia responded with fury. Airstrikes rained down on Ukrainian cities, punishing civilians in retaliation. It was a grim reminder that every Ukrainian success is often followed by Russian vengeance. Yet the resilience of the Ukrainian people shone through. They endured the bombardments, clung to hope, and took pride in the fact that they had shaken Russia in a way few thought possible. For international audiences watching this conflict, the Crimean Bridge strike became one of the defining images of the war. Commentators compared it to other historic moments when symbols of power were toppled, when mighty empires were forced to reckon with the vulnerability of their icons. The bridge was supposed to represent permanence, but it became a reminder that nothing built on illegitimacy is truly permanent. As the war grinds on, the story of that night on the Crimean Bridge continues to echo. It is a tale of ingenuity, daring, symbolism, and consequence. It is a reminder that war is not only fought with guns and tanks, but with ideas, with courage, with acts that resonate far beyond the battlefield. Ukraine's bold strike was not the end of the story, but it was a chapter that will be remembered long after the dust settles. The bridge may one day be fully repaired, its steel beams restored, its roadways once again carrying convoys of traffic. But the memory of seeing it in flames, the image of smoke rising over the Kerch Strait, will never fade. That moment has been burned into history. And so, as we reflect on this daring act, we are reminded of the fragility of power, the unpredictability of war, and the resilience of those who fight for their homeland. Ukraine's strike on the Crimean Bridge was not just an attack on infrastructure. It was a strike on Russia's pride, a message to the world, and a glimpse into the future of this conflict. Whether it ultimately shifts the balance of the war remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The world will not forget the night when the bridge that was supposed to stand forever was set ablaze. This has been Battleverse, bringing you the story of Ukraine's bold strike on the Crimean Bridge. If you found this deep dive story compelling, make sure to subscribe for more narratives that explore the symbols, the strategies, and the struggles shaping our world today.